don't, Ita, you don't have to.
That's fine.
If you don't want to, let me know.
No,
I just thought it would be geschmack.
I told people don't want to hear Chabura from up there.
Honestly, it's been the same thing there. Like that's the whole shul.
I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that with a Chabura. Well, not
Yeah.
this Chabura, but with a Chabura you can say, well, I wasn't really sure about it.
If you want, you could stand over there. If you want, you could stand over there.
It's fine. It's fine.
Right. Okay. I don't know if anyone remembers. Okay, first of all, tonight's shir is sponsored by the Schwartz family. In honor of Adina's grandfather. I really have to fix up these autocorrects. Adila's grandfather. Exactly. Zev Yehuda ben Avram. Neshama should have an aliyah. All of our Torah should be a schus li'ilei nishmaso. So I think, I'm trying to remember what the sugya was, but last year, our Chabura before Shavuos, we gave shir on Kabalas HaTorah, somehow connecting to the sugya. And it was mamish a fit-in, and it really was such hashkacha that the Chabura that we were up to was mamish about, I don't remember, but it was mamish about, I can't remember where it was, but it was probably before the second parak. It was something that really tied into the Yesodos of the Kabalas, the Yesodos of Kabalas HaTorah, and the fact that we're shaylet on Kabalas HaTorah, and it was real hashkacha. So I was just thinking.
The Melech with the Torah?
Melech holding the Torah? It was the Yesodos of the Maharal. The Yesodos of the Maharal, it said that we became, and the Beis Halevi, that we became the Sholtim on the Torah. But I don't remember how the sugya came up in Sanhedrin, but I remember that it fit in perfectly. But the reason why I thought about that today was because it's just such hashkacha, and it just mamish makes you think about the Gemara that Kol Hashayna HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shayni Imcha, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mamish learning with us, like the lashon of the Tana Devei Eliyahu, because the next Gemara that we were holding by on Chavavam and Beis, the end of the Gemara says, Hani, the last of the before the two dots, Hani Kvuroi the cover nafsha b'yom tov rishon shel atzeres. Those that were kover their mesim on the Yontiv Rishon Shel Atzeres. Why is Yontiv Rishon Shel Atzeres? Is because the din is on Yontiv Sheni. The original halacha was, right, the Gemara is talking about that a person violates the Yontif by burying a mace on Yontif Rishon. But specifically, Siyata Deshmaya was that it was Yontiv Rishon Shel Atzeres, the Yontif Rishon of Atzeres. There's a lot to shmooze about the significance of Yontiv Sheni Shel Atzeres, not for now. It's a whole chuvas Chasam Sefer about the significance of the Yontiv Sheni Shel Atzeres, but be that as it may, so the Gemara says, Shamtinu Rav Papa put them in Chayrim, Paslinu le'edus, and he passled them for edus. V'achsharinu Rav Huna, and Rav Huna disagreed, and he was machsher them b'reder Rav Yeshua. Amalei Rav Papa v'Rashan ninu. So Rav Papa said back to Rav Yehuda b'reder Rav Yeshua, how could you be machsher them? Hello, they're Rishayim. They're mezalzel in Yontif, like we spoke about last week. Person who we talked about the issue of not a person who straight up violates Yontif, but he cooks for Goyim on Yontif. The Prima Gadim Safek, is he a Hadrili Surikama? Does he become Pasal Eidus if he cooks for Goyim on Yontif? Machlek is Tyson the Rambam, we spoke about last week. So they're Rishayim, a person who's mezalzel in Yontif, he's a Rasha. Savri mitzvah ka'avdi. So the Gemara says, no, they thought that they're doing a mitzvah. So since they thought that they're doing a mitzvah, so they're not going to be puzzle. So, but they put him in chayr. So they said no. They thought they were doing a mitzvah, and even though he put them in chayrim, they thought that he was just helping them to be mechaper them, but they were still doing the right thing. So there's a fascinating Mishnah Melech on this halacha that the Mishnah Melech says. They thought they were doing a mitzvah, so what? Shouldn't they still be puzzle? So the Mishnah Melech asks, we have earlier that Taisus writes that a person psychologically doesn't know that something's usr, right? Like Sachma, right? like Masachet Bekuvia or Ribis. People thought psychologically that it wasn't prohibited, and yet still that's in the list of Psulim D'Rabbanan. And yet over here you have Reb Huna that's being machshir them, and not only saying that they're not Pasim D'Oraisa, they're not even Pasim D'Rabbanan. So ask the Mishnah Melech, why should their psychological state make a difference? If we say earlier in Tosfos that if someone thinks something's mutter, but it's still going to be Pasim D'Rabbanan lefachos, why over here is he kosher according to Reb Huna? So the Mishnah Melech says, yeah, there's a difference between a person who thinks something's mutter and a person who thinks something's a mitzvah. If he thinks he's mamish doing a mitzvah, so then that's not only going to take care of the psul d'oraisa, it's going to take care of the psul d'rabbanan. That's our Gemara. And if he thinks it's just mutter, it's a dvar shus, so then that's going to take care of a psul d'oraisa, but it's not, even though it's an issa d'oraisa, it's not going to take care of the psul d'rabbanan. That's the psak of the Mishnah Melech. I didn't want to talk about that tonight, but I just couldn't hesitate from speaking about the fact that the Gemara we're mamish holding on is Yontif Rishon Shel Atzeres, which is mamish fascinating. But this Gemara, the next Gemara, is I don't even know how to introduce this Gemara. Mamish a Yesod of Shas, and a very important Gemara. So let's jump in. So the Gemara says as follows: Eid Zomemim, the din of Hazama, which again people come in to give Eidus, and then other Eidim came in and says Imanu Hayisem, you are with us, and the Torah says Kasha Zon Lasas Le'achiv, that they get punished, they are invalid, and they even get punished like they intended to do. So the Gemara here is not dealing with all of the sugis and makas about the administering of the punishment of Kasha Zon. The Gemara wants to deal with what's relevant to our parak, which is the fact that these people are going to be puzzled because they were proven wrong. Abaye Omer Lamafreyahu Nifsal. Abaye says, when does the Eid Zomemim become possible from? There are different times of the Eidus that are relevant. Number one, there's the Shas Eidus. Then there's the time that they get proven that they're wrong. So now we could have a window of months in between that when they were made and when they were actually proven, Imanu Ayisim, when that whole story came in with the Mazimim. Rashi says, Eid Zomemim, Heid b'Nisan v'huzim b'Tishrei, shall Eid Zu. So what do you do with all the Eiduyos that were in between Nisan and Tishrei? It's going to have millions of dollars that are on the line based on this issue, whether or not we could use their Eidus. If their Eidus is valid, or they kosher Eidim. So Abaye Amar L'Mafreyu Nifsal, you go back retroactively, you're passing from the original Eidus from that time from Nisan. Mafreya Kol Eidu She'ed Min Nisan Ve'elech, Psulin says Rashi Shari Mishe'ed Eidus Zu Hu Rasha. He becomes a Rasha from that time, it kicks in retroactive. Rabba Amar Mikana Lahabo Nifsal, Rabba says no, it's only from now on, and we don't go back in time. Mikana Lahabo Zok Rashi Mishuhuzim. At the time of Azama, you don't go back to older Eidius. Older Eidius can still stand and are substantial Eidius. Abaye Amr L'Mafreyu Nifsal Me'idno De'asid Rashahu V'Torah Amra Al Sashes Yadchaim Rasha Al Tashes Rasha 8. Abaye says no, L'Mafreyu Nifsal, because at the time that he did the Ma'aser Rishus, he is given by the Torah the Shem Rasha. So that's when we should implement his invalidation from that time of Eidos. What do you mean? It's Eidos Misafi.
You never know whether someone is going to come at some future time and he buys it. This Eidos that he said 6 months ago or 5 years ago. So everything that he did is
true.
You're going to say,
it's true. It's true. The Torah says you got to deal with the here and now. I also might not know that an animal could have died a year later and could have been a treifa. How am I supposed to know? Says a chazaka. So we deal with the here and now. We deal with the reality. You're right. You might be right. And Abaye will say you have to deal with the consequences, and you might have to redo your kinyanim later on. But right now, there's no reason to assume.
Just never use these people as Eidim, even though they're not technically possible.
You use which people?
The Eidim, anyone who said Eidus.
Anyone who said Eidus, I should never use as
Never
Eidim?
use them again. Well,
I should never reuse Eidim.
You're taking your chances.
So I should make a.
If someone comes and b'mazim them, then everything that they involved in.
Im Kain, I'm gonna flip you your kash. Im Kain lenesat Eidus. How could you never use Eidus? I don't always decide who or what, whether it was an aid. Eidus is based on who is in the right place at the right time. Eidus, if someone happened to be on the street, they witnessed the case. Can't make a klal not to reuse Eidim. You're never gonna have Eidus then.
You wouldn't use them when you called them.
If they were ever an aid for something else.
It's aid for something else, and now you need Eidim to be Eidim to halavah.
I hear it's a way to resolve. It's a way to resolve my issues with kibudim. So, yeah.
You gave an example of Mominus. What about Eidei Kiddushin?
Oh, excellent, Shaila. Excellent. That's the machlokes b'shayim here. But we have to finish the Gemara first. So the Gemara says, Rava disagrees with Rabbi. Rava Amar Mikana lahabel nifsel. No, don't kick their psul in retroactively. Mikana lahabel nifsel from Shas Hazama and on their puzzle. Why? Eid Zomemim chidushu. My chozis desamchis ahani smoich ahani. What? Why is Eidim Zomemim a chiddush? Because why do you rely on them? Rely on them. Who says they're any better than him? So since, and Afal Pichin, the Torah says what? Believe the later two. So that's a chiddush. That's something that's not so logical. That's something that's against what I would think intuitively. So therefore, so then you should only go from that time of when the chiddush is kicked in, but beforehand I should never kick in the psul. So again, it sounds like from the Gemara, we're going to have to deal with this in future shiurim. You have to know, is the chiddush on the believability of the second ones, or is the chiddush on the pasling of the first ones? That's what this second Tosfos is going to deal with. Where is the chiddush implied? Is the chiddush that we're kashering the second ones, or is the chiddush that we're pasling the first ones, or not pasling the second ones? Okay, that there's a few different ways one could break down this chiddush, but fundamentally, Rava is just introducing the concept of hakasha. When you have two Eidim that walk in and contradict each other, one guy says that it was on this and this day, and another guy says it was on this day. Whatever the case is, that's hakasha. That's a steer in the gufa Eidus. So that neutralizes the Eidus. We don't know what to do. It's a trey. Trey is a suffix. We don't know who's right. My chazit de samachahani smochahani. Who says which kind of Eidim are right? So that's the normal conclusion that we should have, and that is the halacha l'maisa conclusion of hakasha. Comes along Hazama and there's a chiddush. So therefore Rava says, so then why should we kick in the chiddush any more than what the Torah was mechadish? Ikada Amri, then the Gemara introduces a whole new approach. Rava nami ke'abayis firle. Fascinating. Rava doesn't hold it's a chiddush. Umay tam ka'amar mikanu lahaba. Listen to this, Abe. My tam mikanu lahaba mishum pseida de lekuchos. Me'ikar adin, the Gemara is making a distinction. The Gemara is saying Me'ikar adin, when you want to look essentially what this is, Eid Zomemim makes a lot of sense. Eid Zomemim is something that's not a chiddush. Yet what? Yet why does Rava say Mikan al-Hab? It's a takana midrabanan. Why is it takana midrabanan? Because you're never going to have a marketplace. You're not going to be able to function because you're exactly what Reliever said. You're never gonna know what's gonna come, and you're gonna cause all the contracts to go south, to go bad. So that's where the Rishayin and the Ran raises on this Shaila, on this Gemara. Oh, okay. What about marriages in between? What about kiddushin? What about situations where there's no pseida de lekuchos, where it's not dinei mamanis? How extensive with this Gemara? Do you say dafka lekuchos, or do you say that there was a low plug and all Eidus was included once Rava said it? That's a machlokes Rishonim how to learn the Gemara. Yeah.
There's much more pseida. There's Mamzeris as well.
Good. I think the Ravid has such a lashon of that there is pseida. There is certain pseida that could be, but that's what's not clear from the entire Gemara. We have to get there. My benayu. So the Gemara says, what's the nafkamina between the two lashonis of the Rava? Ika benayu dasidu beitrei bechad. That's what's the Ika benayu? The Ika benayu in the two lashonis of Rava, if it's a chiddush or it's not a chiddush. Zakt Rashi, my benayu, ben hani trei taima de Rava, between the two versions of Rava. Ika benayu trei bechad. So Rashi says, Trei v'chad, Trei kitos, you have two sets of Eidim, She'idu b'katzu. That the two kats of Eidim, which is a total of 4 Eidim, 2 sets of witnesses, Shnayim amru l'chol echad imanu hayisa. B'makom ploni, chidish lechka pseidu l'kuchazika. What happens over here? You have 2 Eidim, they gave Eidus, and then you have not hazama of a second kat, that says imanu hayisem, but you have hazama of 2 kats that attack each Eid separately and said imanu hayisa. Okay? So then Rashi says that's the nafkamina. Because if you say what, that the tziba of Rava is what? Is chiddish. Because you really, my chazut to samachani, smochahani, why should we believe one over the other? So in this case, does that apply? No, it doesn't apply, says Rashi. Why? Because it's now 2 against 1. So now the concept of chiddush doesn't apply. But if you hold mishum seder l'kuchos applies equally in this situation as well. This is a real problem, the way Rashi just explained the Gemara. Before we even get to first base in this sugya, there's so many problems with this sugya. Rabbi Yisai, what did I just say? What's the nafkamina in the 2 versions of Rava is the following. If you hold it's chiddush, then what? Then over here it's not a chiddush. Why is it not a chiddush? Because here you have 2 against 1. 2 against 1? It's 2 against 2. What happened to the concept of Trei Kameya? What happened to the concept of there's no better proof in the world of Eidus, and 2 Eidim is like 100 Eidim? Let's say I come in and I say Eidus with Eitan, right? We give Eidus, right? Now you have to go against me. You're a litigant against me, Adi. You bring 100 Eidim to now counter our Eidus. What's the din? What's the halacha? What's the halacha? We have Eidus, and then against us is 100 different Eidim. What's the halacha? It's a trade. It's a suffix. So then, what's Rashi talking about over here? What's Rashi? This Rashi is unbelievable. That's what this Tosfos is about. The third Tosfos on the daf. He has no idea what Rashi is talking about. He blows Rashi out of the water. He says, "Kosher Rabbeinu Tam. Chad my kamar da asidu betrei bechad umshemachi leka chiddush. That's going to neutralize the chiddush. Hari trei kameya. What? That's a pella. Why should it be an eid echad? We came in as 2 Eidim. What? No, again, let's bring out the case. The case started off, we came in together. We were a team. Okay? Then, what? When we gave Eidus, Eitan and I gave it together.
No, you gave it together, we both independently saw this same event, or I was standing next to you when you saw it? Because if they might
Why should it make a difference?
No, because if Reuven says he saw it, Shimon says he saw it, Reuben and see Shimon, Shimon and see
Oh, wow. So you're now giving terutzim. And that's a Tosfos in Bava Kama Daf Ayin Gimel that says that the Pshat in our Gemara is Zera Michalon Zeh Zera Michalon Zeh, which Al Pidin and Dinei Mamanis, which is called Eidus Miuchedes, we're going to get to later on in the third parak, hopefully, is halachically kosher Eidus, and that exists to be what? Trei Kameya. That is 2 Eidim, that is a din of Shnei Eidim. If you allow Eidus Miuchedes and you don't need us to see each other, halachically that Eidus is acceptable as Shnei Eidim. It's not an Eid Echad. But now you're telling me a Chiddush Itai. Now you're telling me, yeah, but the fact that we didn't know about each other, Legabi this halacha of Azama, they're going to be able to deal with us individually. It's a fascinating halacha, meaning that's l'chora what Rabbeinu Tam doesn't accept. Rabbeinu Tam is going to say you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you're a din of Trei Eidim and Trei Kameya applies to you, and Legabe Akosher, we're going to say you and Eitan exist connected 100, so now the same should be true Legabe Hazama as well. If it's halachically acceptable.
They're very different,
because Hazama is a, what?
Yeah, Achash is talking about, did the event happen, did the event not happen? Hazam is, were you there, were you not?
Okay, you're right. The mechanics is talking about 2 different things, but Eidus is Eidus.
No, the mechanics make all the difference.
Okay, and
Isn't there another layer here? Whether the first 2 Eidim knew of each other or didn't know each other, the second 2 Eidim are saying the first 2 Eidim didn't see what they saw. Is that the same as the second 2 Eidim saying, I don't know about this one of the first 2 Eidim, but I know about that one, wasn't there, didn't see. They're commenting not about both of the first 2 Eidim, they're commenting about one of the first 2 Eidim. Is that the same problem? Is it the same level of problem? Is there an off-community there as well? So I thought that's the 2 against 1 scenario, that they're testifying that one of those first two, there's a problem. I don't know, but the other one of the first two couldn't have been there, or didn't see.
You're saying if they only take on one of them.
That's the two on the one. Yeah, they're taking on one of the first two Eidim.
So then, you don't think that when we give Eidus,
I'm just asking if that's another layer of complexity, another situation.
why should it be why should it be any less than if they take on both of us? It's a different case, yeah, but l'chora, if the Torah is telling me that fundamentally there's a chiddush, and fundamentally when I give Eidus with someone else, that we're being made, that we have the ability and to be machshir us, and we can go against people that are saying that this is not true and you were with us. So l'chora, the same should be true if they're saying less than that.
Have the same argument as the retroactive is from now when it's 2 against 1 or 2
I think
against
so.
2.
I think
By
so.
coming as a cat, you now subject yourself to hurting the other one. Meaning, as opposed to Itai's case where they didn't even know they were both there, that has an afkamina. As opposed to coming together and saying we saw this together.
Again, practically, it's not going to make a difference. It's just all in the theoretical world whether we call the Gemara is just discussing in the theoretical world whether or not you call this a chiddush. So you're right. So if, according to what Itai is saying, if we didn't know each other, if we didn't know about each other, even though our Eidus is registered as Shnei Eidim, and now could be registered and go up against 100 Eidim, but legabe, this idea of if 2 people come and invalidate you separately, that wouldn't have been such a chiddush, and therefore maybe Rava would have said you should go l'mafreya in such a situation. That would be the extent of what the nafkamina is. But otherwise, without what Itai is saying or what Abe's saying, some sort of explanation to how you can get this spinning, why should Rabbeinu Tam saying this whole explanation is wrong because Trei Kameya.
Why would you say that Trei Kameya only applies when they're both talking about the same Gufa Eidus? That's the Torah's telling you that one says it did happen, one says it didn't happen. So that's Trei Kameya. The two of them are talking about completely separate things. So why?
What do you mean we're talking about? So how are we mitzvah with them?
No. The two in the normal case of Hazam.
Yeah.
And one aid is saying Reuben till Shimon on Monday, and the other group of Eidim is saying they have nothing to say about what happened.
Right.
between Reuben and Shimon.
They say Imanu Ayisem.
Imanu Ayisem.
Yeah.
So in that case, that's a big chiddush that they're both saying they're both equal. I have 2 sets of Eidim, both equal.
Right.
Right? But if you have 2 kat of Eidim against one, then it's not equal. The Trei Kameya doesn't apply over there because they're not talking about the same thing.
I don't know. Again, the Gemara, Rashi said that the explanation of Trei Bechad means you're applying the dinim of Hazama. You're saying Imanu Ayisim. But since you're only saying it against one guy, and the other one saying it against the other guy, so therefore it's going to be not a chiddush. Why is that true? If you're telling me it's a chiddush when it's 2 against 2, so why shouldn't that be also if you have four sets? You have 4 Eidim and they're attacking us individually. That's Rabbeinu Tam's kasha.
That's a separate answer. That has nothing to do with Trei Kameya, though.
Sure it does. That's Rabbeinu Tam's kasha. He's saying when 2 Eidim walk in, they're believed up against as many. If you think it's a chiddush to believe the second kat in a rather good classic halacha of Hazama because Trei Kameya, and because Eidus is nechshav to be believed because they're 2 Eidim, and intuitively Imanu Ayisim should not be believed more about the first guy than the second guy. We shouldn't believe the second kat intuitively without the Chiddush HaTorah. So that should be true whether or not you attack us individually also, because in totality we're 2 Eidim, and the din of Trei Kameya should apply. We're applying Trei Kameya in order to now say that the fact that you're dissecting the case and attacking us individually shouldn't make a difference because we're being made with each other.
Really, when you talk about Hazama, the facts of the case are irrelevant. An aid who's made that he saw something is in effect saying, I was here. Right? So you have 2 Eidim saying, we were here, and 2 Eidim saying, you weren't there. Right? So that's a chiddush. Why should I believe one over the other?
Correct.
But if I have 1 aid saying I was here, and 2 Eidim against him saying you weren't there.
But I don't have 1 aid. I have 2 Eidim. That's Rabbeinu Tam's kasha.
Each one- aside
Why
from-
is it individual? Because 2 Eidim decide to come separately to attack us individually? We came here as a cat. Who cares how you decide to attack me? So you have two groups of Eidim, very nice, and they say, we want to deal with Eitan and we want to deal with Eli Belazan differently. Well, what is that? But we came together.
Yeah, but
We came together and we were saying that we were there. So if you want to tell me what Itai is saying, that no, maybe they never knew about each other, it's a case of Dinei Mamonis, they didn't have to know about each other, it was Echad Ro Michal and Zev, Echad Michal. Okay, maybe, then that's what to do with. But if you're dealing with a normal classic case, that we came in as a kat, then Rabbeinu Tam's kash is a very strong kash. Yeah. So I think that's what Abe is saying. So I think Rabbeinu Tam actually might hold that that's the answer to the Gemara. So if you skip down to the Rabbeinu Tam, the third Taisus, let's just see the Taisus. Da asidu beitrei b'chad v'trei b'chad. V'kashal Rabbeinu Tam. Chad da Maika Omer da asidu beitrei b'chad v'trei b'chad. Musham hachi leka chidish. Hatrei kameya. V'oy da Maika Omer. And then says Rabbeinu Tam also Rashi's explanation of the Gemara is problematic. Da Maika Omer de paslinu b'gazlanusa. Haloya ave me'ein pluktayu klal. De pligi b'hazama. What are you saying also? There's an addition, inami de paslinu begazlanusa, that you made him into a gazlan. That's not comparable to the dinim of hazama, that there's nekudas amachloikis between a Ravaya and Rava. Lo shayach ikabenayu elamein pluktayu. The ikabenayu should be about the subject matter, about what they're arguing about was in the world of hazama. V'oy de Eidim Zomemim mibayale le'el lemeimer. Came into Amr trei bechad v'amay naket Eid Zomemim. It should be Eidim Zomemim, not Eid Zomemim. So listen to this, Abe. V'nirla Rabbeinu Tam, the Garsinan da Asinu trade bechad v'sulo. No, it was just that they, exactly what you guys were saying. They were just pasled one. There was a hazama on one of them. V'sulo. Shalo huzam ki im ha'echad. Exactly like your case. That only one of them got hazama.
That's not what Rashi says.
No, Rabbeinu Tam's arguing. No, he's taking all these kashas and he's saying, therefore Rashi is wrong in the Pshat of the Gemara. Rabbeinu Tam holds that Rashi's Pshat makes no sense. Based on what? Without your Metzias, and I don't think Rabbeinu Tam would agree even in the Metzias of Roach, of Echad Roach, Michal, and Zerach. Rabbeinu Tam holds Trei Kameya. As long as this is a valid Edus of Trei, so then Memela, it's a Chiddush. No matter how you were going to dissect the Edus, you're going to confront them, it's going to be a problem. So therefore, what's the case? The only nafkamina that says Rabbeinu Tam that Rav is going to say it's not a Chiddush is if it's not a classic case of Hazama. But it's a Hazama of what? That the two Eidim only dealt with one. And the second aid was never azamified. Besulo shalu huzam kiyama echad. V'hashta nicha tilahachi naked le'el eid zomemim lashon yachid. That's why the title of our sugya is what? Eid zomemim and not eidim zomemim. Because we're talking about what, says Rabbeinu Tam, one guy became a zomem, lashon yachid. V'nicha manami hodem ehemne trei amezimen tvei me'ahuchad v'lav chidashu. The Garsina Nami de Pasli begazlanusha perish the echod nifso begazlanusa. V'ashenish uzam v'hashta have me'ein pluktayuksas. So therefore, Abaye says that. Therefore, Rabbeinu Tam says that's a case where you can understand why there's a chiddush because the second guy was never nifsal with hazam. Again, it's still not so pashut because you still if you never pasled both of them, but don't we still?
Well, maybe you wouldn't go retroactively because maybe there was truth there. You didn't.
No, fakir. The Gemara is saying there's no chiddush. That means you will go retroactively. Rav is saying this is not a chiddush, which means you go retroactively.
there's no din hazama.
Why is there no din hazama?
Because there's only din hazama if you mazin the whole kat.
Achi yazuma is kula.
It's cool.
Right. So there won't be a din of kashazam, but the Gemara over here is discussing a psul. So it could be right. You're 100% right. So according to Rabbeinu Tam is saying that the psul of Eidim Zomemim exists without the chalois of the din of kashazam. Right. 100%. Right. Yeah.
So if you're saying this, I'm trying to think. In Makos, if I remember correctly, there's the Mishnah that talks about when you're dealing with three. It's going on the positive.
That's what Rabbi Leifer was speaking about. That's exactly what he's saying.
It's a machlokas there in that Mishnah whether you're
Right, but we
who's on 2 out of the 3.
right. So we paskin achi yazuma is cool, and that's the way we pass. That's what he was asking.
Make on the 3rd.
Yeah, right. So, but I think what Rabbeinu Tam is assuming, is the gabe the psul. The psul is still shayach, which intuitively you don't necessarily have to say. You could say once you're not applying the parsha of Azama, there's no nothing. Hazama doesn't start. The whole parsha of Hazama only starts even Lagabi the Psul once the Chalois din is there. But apparently Rabbeinu Tam is explaining that's not going to be the case. Okay, good. Rabbi said before we get into all of these Taisim, we have to come back to this Rabbeinu Tam and we have to come back to Rashi. We have a lot to come back to. We have to understand the basics over here. What's the Machlokes Abaye and Rava? So Abaye Amar Lafreu Nifsal, Rava says Mikana Lahabu Nifsal. So Rava says it's a Chiddush. And the concept of Chiddush, the Torah tells us, says Rava, whenever you have a Chiddush, whenever you have something that's out of the regular rules and regulations, so that we don't kick back Lamafreya, we just do Mikana Lahabu. So what does Abaye hold? Does Abaye argue that it's not a Chiddush? Or is Abaye arguing, Gufa, with that maybe things could even kick in, even by Chiddush? Chayr Rav is coming from somewhere. Since it's a Chiddush, what?
Gemara calls it Chiddush.
But
How would Abaye argue on that?
Rav, that's within Rav, no?
Is that within Rav or is that within Eidim Zom?
No, I think Rav is the one who introduces the concept of Chiddush. Right?
Oh, he doesn't get that from elsewhere?
Rav Amar Mikana Lahabu Nifsa, Eid Zomemim Chiddushu. That's Rav talking. So does Abaye argue with Chiddush? Oh, or is he arguing with Ein L'Chabo Chidusha? Is that what he's arguing about? Or is he arguing about something totally different? So let's see the possibility. Let's look at the Rambam in Parak Yud Ches of Hilchos Eidos. Halacha Gimel. By the way, how do we paskin this Shaila? We all know. Yal Kagam. This is the ayin of Yal Kagam of Eid Zayim. So we paskin like Abaye and not Rav. Says the Rambam in Halacha Gimel, V'zeshi iminu Torah Eidim ha'achronim ala Eidim ha'rishonim gzeres ha'kosevi. Filu hayu Eidim ha'rishonim meu bo shnayim ve'ezimim va'amr lehem anu me'eidim sh'atim ha'mei kulchem imanu ha'yisim b'akum ploni ha're'elu nenshin al piyem sh'ashnayim k'meu mea k'shnayim. So what's the Rambam telling us? The din of Hazama, the fact that we believe the second over the first, there is no svara, it's all a gzeres ha'kosev. So now, if I want to figure out what's the machlokes Abaye and Rava, the Rambam Paskin's like Abaye l'mafreyu nifsal, right? So can I suggest in the Rambam that Abaye is arguing if it's a chiddush? Doesn't sound like that. It sounds like there's a new nekudas machlokes between Abaye and Rava. But if you look at the Lechem Mishnah, flip to the other side, the Lechem Mishnah, the beginning of Halacha Yud Ches. So Lechem Mishnah writes, he introduces the Shita of the Tur. When we divrei HaTorah, you see 3 lines in the first column of Lechem Mishnah, 3 lines from the bottom. When we divrei HaTorah b'chosh mishpat simin lamed ches. Masha v'kein shekasa ma yesh bein ha'kosha la'azama ha'kosha eina begufa Eidim v'azama begufa Eidim sha'imrim ba'oisei shah sha'atim oimrim nira dekevin da'amru la'Eidim imanu ha'yisem afal pi sha'amru gamken l'loiv l'malveh Haya iman mikomakom hazama mikri. V'oy nira kain mi'atam shenosan shama b'nei zeh ha'achronim ne'emonim. Listen to a lashon of the Torah. U'mipnei zeh ha'tam ha'achronim ne'emonim. Why are this later Eidim ne'emon? Kevan sheme'idin al gufon shel Eidim. Because this is not hakosha. We're not contradicting about the subject matter. But rather what? But rather the gufa Eidim. V'heimenim ne'emonim al atzmo lomer lo asinu kach v'kach. Just like if Eidim, 2 Eidim walk in and said, you did this, do I have the ability to now counter and say, no, I didn't? No, you're a Nogeya B'Dofer. You can't be made about yourself. So when it comes to Akchosha, it's a contradiction in the Gufa Eidis, so we pounce back at each other. We have a trade, we have a standstill. We're neutralizing each other. We're arguing about the Gufa Eidis, but the second they're coming in and they're saying, these Eidim Imanu Ayis, and they're talking about us, so then just like they're talking about us, L'gabe Harigas HaNefesh, so therefore I don't have the ability to counter, so says the Torah, that's why the second kat is believed. Mashma L'fiyah Zeh HaTam Da'afilu She'chishu Lehem She'aloive V'Amalva Gamken Oyu Moim Kemin She'chishu Lohem Havi Ke'ilu Pasal Megazlanuso O B'Davar Acher Gam Sham Lo Hinech Li B'Divrei HaTorah Lama Hutzach Lasi Tam Zeh Kevin the Gemara Amr Da'azam Ha V'Chidish. Says the Lechem Mishnah, a Chiddush al pi this tour. He wants to say, what happens if you have Eidim Zomemim that walk in and they say, by the way, these 2 Eidim imanu ayisem. But then they don't press stop. Then they keep talking, right? Jews always keep talking. So then they say, And by the way, I don't agree with this thing about the halva, about the malva and the leiva and the details. Whoa. So now Bezdin turns to them and he says, what are you doing over here? Are you in Hazama land or are you in Achosha land? You're getting involved in the Gufa Eidim, you're going to get involved in the... So if I would ask the Rambam such a shaila, so I would tell you it depends. Is it Hazama or is it Achosha? Because fundamentally what? Hazama and Achosha are all the same thing. Just what? What does Hazama have? Xeris HaKosov. Xeris HaKosov. That when you say Imanu Ayisem, so suddenly we believe the second kat. So don't mess that up. So now, if you're in the world of Hazama, so now don't add on Hakosha. But whereas according to the Torah, no, I can add on as much as I want. Because you know what? There's a reason why I'm going to actually believe the second kat. You know why? Because part of their Eidim was about the Gufa Eidim, that they don't have the ability to counter back with me. And there's a svara to be ma'amid them. So the Lechem Mishnah doesn't like the Torah. And he says he thinks it's against the Gemara. Why? Because Rava says the reason why Eidim Zomemim believe is Chidishu. Yet what? What's the obvious response for the Torah? Is what? Is that Abaye disagrees. That was only in Rava. The Torah understood that the machlokes between Rava and Abaye is that whether or not Eid Zomemim is a Chiddush, because according to Abaye, since you could now distinguish between being made on the Gufa Eidim as opposed to the Gufa Eidos, so perhaps Abaye didn't think it was such a Chiddush, and therefore the halachas of Trey and Akhosha would not apply to Hazama, to Imanu Ayisa. So the way the Lechem Mishnah presents it is that you have a machlokes between the Rambam and the Torah about the Nukudas HaMachlokes between Rava and Abaye.
How would the Rambam understand Abaye?
The Rambam would understand Abaye. Oh, so beautiful. How would the Rambam understand Abaye? So one possibility we mentioned is perhaps the Rambam disagrees. Rabbi Chanan suggests like this. Rabbi Chanan discusses a different shaila in Yeridea. He discusses the din of kavua. Kol kavua kemechza al mechza dami. So you have a shaila. In general, we say that you should follow rov. You should follow rov whenever you have a taruvus, whenever you have a mixture. So if you have 9 pieces that are mutter, so then you should apply the din of rov. So, but the Torah says a chiddush. The Torah says, but it's not if the suffix was nolad b'makom kviyusa. If it was that the suffix didn't happen elsewhere, but it was like Teisha Chanuyos. It was in a set place, and that's where the Leidus HaSuffix happened b'makom kavua. Then the Torah says we view it automatically as 50-50. You ignore the odds that are in front of you. And the Pashtus is that's a Chiddush HaTorah. The Torah made a Chiddush that we don't say Bittul Barov b'makom kavua, right? So the Rishonim have a discussion whether or not kavua could kick in Lamafrei or not. Machlokes is the Ra'ah and the Ran. We had a little bit of this discussion regarding the eggs with the fish. So the part of the discussion afterwards is kavula mafreya, because the person came over to me afterwards. Do you kick in kavula mafreya? So do we say retroactively the chiddush of kavua? So Rabbi Chanan said it's a machlokes the Ra'ah and the Ran. It's machlokes Rishonim. So Rabbi Chanan says a beautiful hesber. He says it comes to be a machlokes Abaye and Rava. What's the machlokes? When the Torah says a chiddush, do you say the halacha of ein l'cha elam yichudusha ve'elach, or do you hold like Abaye and you say then what? Abaye holds no. Perhaps some of the Rishonim held no. It's not true. Even if it is a chiddush, you could say it lemafrei. You could and he's arguing with Rava on the din of ein l'cha elam yichudusha ve'elach. So Rabbi Chanan suggests perhaps that's the machlokes. How to learn the machlokes Abaye and Rava is actually a machlokes the Ra'ah and the Ran in the halchos of kavua. That's Rabbi Chanan's chakir. But I heard from a Shechter a beautiful hezber. Oh my gosh. No, we need more time. We got to stop time. Where's Yoshua? We need to stop the sun. So, Rav Shechter said a beautiful hezber. And I don't want to start the hezber because I really want to finish the hezber. And this hezber, Rav Shechter once said, and then he said that someone came up to him that was a Talmud of Rav Unterman, and Rav Unterman was a Talmud of Rav Shimon Shkop, and this hezber that Rav Shechter said is a hezber from Rav Shimon Shkop. In the machlokes Abaye and Rava in our Gemara. It's a mamish, a beautiful hezber. What do you think? What do we do? What? Go for it. I'm not going to. Okay. Please daven to stop time. So the Gemara says like this: machlokes Abaye and Rava mikano lahabu nifsel or Rava Omer mikano lahabu nifsel. Fine. Everyone agrees, like the Rambam says, like you pointed out, that it's a chiddush. The Rambam's paskin like Abaye. It's a chiddush. Elamai, so what's the machlokes? So why is he able to kick in Lamafreya? So says Rav Shechter, The machlokes is what the chiddush is. Is the chiddush HaTorah to be what's coined in a Lumdus term to be a hanhaga, to be noyeg a certain way, that even though we don't understand why this is the way we're noyeg, this is the minig, this is the din, that you should just act as if this is, but it doesn't actually make sense like that. That's the way Rava says, that's a hanhaga. Or no, the chiddush HaTorah was to treat this, that Eidim Zomemim is a birur hadover, is now acting as if it's mevar the facts. And if it's mevar the facts, then something factual has to be emistic. Memela, it has to kick in even lemafreya. L'mashal l'ma davar doimer. Says Rav Shechter, there's a halacha called bittul barov. Bittul barov is a fascinating halacha. If you have shishim in your pot, keneged the iser, so it's nisbata, right? Comes along the Shach, he quotes from the Isser V'Heter, quotes from any place, and we pass like this halacha, that the din of bittul barov, fascinating din. The din of bittul barov only kicks in when the bailim know about the taruvus. It requires yedias hataruvis to kick in the halacha of bittul. Beforehand, there is no chalois of bittul. Why? The answer is because this is not mevarer anything. It's not something factual. It's not clarifying the facts over here. Every spoon that you're taking out of this isser, guess what? You have chazer in that spoon. No one's taking care of the facts over here. Yet there's a chiddush HaTorah that there's a din called batul shishim. You should be noyeg as if the isser was what? Was taken care of. And I don't have to worry about the trade. To the extent that the Pesachei Tshuva says that if a person, I tell this to people all the time, if a person is machmer on the shaila, is a shaila of being a mapikaris. Because he wants to be machmer on the din of bittul b'shisha. Not every chumrah is a chumrah. Every chumrah could be a very big kula. So you have a din hanhoga. That din hanhoga comes when? Mikanu lahaba. Mishas yediyas hataruvis. That's a chiddush. That's hanhoga. That kicks in from now. That is the mucker, said Reb Shimon Shkop, said Reb Shechter, to the din of Rav of Mikanu lahaba unifso. Ein lecha ela mishas chidusha. L'mashal, chazaka. The din is, the Torah tells us we can rely on a chazaka. The last known reality, we say if that was the din about this animal up until now, we're going to assume that legabe this animal even for the future. That din of chazaka is not a birur. Tosfos writes you could have a stira, a tarta desasre in chazakas. I can walk down a path and ask the shaila to Rabbanim, and the Rabbanim could say chazaka, it says your mutter. The next person could walk down the other path, and we know one of these paths are tameh, and the Rabbanim will ask him, it was Brishus Harab? Okay, chazaka. It's a tarta desasre. It's a stira in chazakas. And the halacha is that we follow chazaka. And even if we act together, even if we ask Shtayim Babas Achas, Tosfos writes it's only a chumrim and Rabbanim that we're machmir. Why? Because it's a chuchu tlula. But fundamentally, chazakas can be seiser each other. Why is that? Because chazaka is not like a rove. Chazaka is not being mevar the facts. Chazaka is I'm being noyed the last known reality. What I thought yesterday, that's what I'm going to apply today. That is a machriya mitoras hanhoga and not mitoras birur. It's not being mevar the facts. Then it's mikanu lahabu nifso. Then it's mishas chidusha ve'elach. Then that's like yediyas hatarovas. That's only from now until the future. You can't kick that in lemafreya because it can only kick in lemafreya if it's being mevar, if it's clarifying something. Abai told us no Eid Zomemim is a birur. That these guys, the chiddush HaTorah is to tell you to treat this as what? As being mevar, as if it's emistic. If it's being mevar as if it's emistic, so then what? So then I kick in even lemafreya. There's more rayas to this yisoid, the whole yisoid that Tosfos writes. Chazaka shel nisbara b'shaita eina chazaka. If the chazaka would not clarify, if I didn't know this animal was a treifa at the time of the leidas hasafek, I can't kick in the chazaka later. Why not? If the facts come out that it's true, why can't I kick in the chazaka later? A rove can kick in later. The answer is because a chazaka is on hoga. It has to be a continuum in the way you were being noig. It's not a mevarer adover. So therefore it can't kick in shalo b'shas the leidas hasafek. It has to be nisbara b'shaito. That is the machlokes Abai and Rava. So lefi the Rambam,
Lefi, what we're saying right now is everyone agrees Eid Zomemim is a Chiddush HaTorah. The shaila is whether or not we treat this Chiddush as a Hanhaga, and therefore it should only be Mikana Lahaba, or do we treat this Chiddush as a birur, and therefore Abai says simply Avada, it should be Lemafreya like every other Mevar in the Torah.